And hello, welcome to the Great Entrepreneurs Show here on Intellectual Radio. And I'm your host, Dr. Anthony L. Gant. And this is the place where we interview entrepreneurs from around the country that you need to know about, need to actually have some type of acquaintance with or relationship with. You can call at 708-223-8953, 708-223-8953. That's about 30 minutes after the show, and you can ask our guests some questions. So today, we have Mr. Eugene Delanato. Welcome to the show, Eugene.
Thank you, Dr. Pleasure being on your show and back at IntellectualRadio.com.
This is the place to be, right?
Yes, it is.
And Eugene, he's the owner and operator, CEO, and all the good stuff of the Black Pages International. So I do, and I am honored to have you here because you've done a lot and everything, and we're gonna talk a little bit more about what you do. Started. Tell us about who is Eugene.
Well, I am a storyteller, number one.
Okay.
I love telling the stories of dominating business owners and entrepreneurs. And so I've been a storyteller most of my life. And I learned that I believe, in fifth grade, and my teacher gave me an opportunity to write a book report. And in writing that book report, the book report was the amazing world of Walter Mitty.
Okay.
And so something clicked in me. I realized that by putting words together, that gave you power to tell a story. And so I realized that I had that skill. And from that point on, I started telling stories and writing, and all of that was really my first love and still is.
Okay. That sounds good. So before that, we got the Black Pages International. What happened before then to put you in this place?
Well, I was a storyteller. I liked selling items. I'm a graduate of SIU, Carbondale. I'm an athlete. I love meeting people. And so sales enabled me to do that. I've worked for a series of sales organizations. And so I continued to sell and to meet people and to tell stories. And again, while I was selling, I kept writing and telling stories. And so some 20 years later, I put the two of those together. And when you go to our website, blackpagesinternational.com, you also see one of our stories, Save the Last Dance for Me, that you can see in its entirety. So storytelling is still number one for me, but especially identifying individuals, entrepreneurs, and business owners who have stories to tell. And they have phenomenal stories to tell. And if you don't have a relationship with the business owner, you need to ask yourself, why not? And you need to take the steps to coordinate a relationship with a business owner, because they can improve the quality of your life.
I like the way you put that. So let's go into the Black Pages International. How long has the Black Pages International been in existence?
We've been around 1988. It was then called the Black Book and the Black Pages. And it was started by my mentor, the legendary Arnett French. He started in St. Louis, and he started the Black Pages in Kansas City with another gentleman. They were both dominating men, and they couldn't get along. So they started in St. Louis, and one went to Memphis and started the Black Pages. And my mentor, Arnett French, went to Kansas City. Then he went to Dallas, and then he came to Chicago. So I met him in the year 2000. And the question that he used to ask me over and over again that I really didn't understand, he said, Eugene, what you need to do is to raise your level of expectations.
Okay. What do you mean by that?
He meant that my goals and aspirations were too small.
Say, a little too low, huh? Would you think bigger, please? Huh?
Yes.
Do you think that's a challenge that a lot of business owners have? Maybe low expectations?
Absolutely. Now I would encourage a business owner to start with the end result in mind. Start there.
Okay, explain that.
Well, first of all, you have to have a vision.
Okay.
You have to have a clear vision of what it is you want And to start with that in mind, as though there was nothing preventing you from having that. Because truth, the only thing that's preventing you from having that is your imagination.
So you in the way of this thing, huh?
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah,
I
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
You know, when you say the word vision, in some parts of the word vision, it actually means to visit.
Yes,
Like the French would say déjà vu,
yes,
like I've been here before. So really the word vision means that, when you actually quote unquote accomplish that
yeah,
or grab it, this should be your second time coming
yes,
because you have already seen it
yeah.
and you have visited that place, which is that vision, and now you actually have that particular thing or living that particular life or expectations are actually there.
That
So,
that is it precisely. You have to start there.
mhm.
Everything that you see externally is a result of what you first visited internally.
I
It's
like
an exact match. You just haven't paid attention.
So why do I keep living like this? Why is my outside looking like this? Because the inside is looking a certain
Yeah,
way as well. The
yeah.
vision.
So I started paying attention. So I started um, visiting
Mhm.
that end result first. Before I came out here, I visited it. I knew that I was coming to this address because if I didn't know I was coming to this address, how in the heck could I get here?
That's right. There you go. There you go. I like how you put that. And I think you said something very powerful. Start with the end in mind.
Start there.
And I think a lot of times, Eugene, people maybe they get into entrepreneurship and they don't think about what they're trying to actually accomplish. Sometimes they, well, I'm just can't find a job. So I think I'll do this. Instead of saying, hey, this is my business. This is the end result. I want to earn this much, have this much business, be in this many places, and then start walking it backwards, so to speak,
Hmm.
to where they are.
Yeah. Because then on a daily basis, if you have the end result in mind, if you had visited that end result
Right.
every day, then your day-to-day activities, they should be in alignment with that end result.
That's true.
And if they're not in alignment with that end result, then you out of alignment. You got to go
Right.
back and make some adjustments,
That's right. Or you have to change your vision.
or you have to change your vision.
Right. Because if you're going the wrong way, like a lot of times people say, I'm going north, but their body is heading east or west or
Yes,
south, right?
yes,
And they don't realize when the head starts turning, seeing what you want, and the body's going a different direction, eventually the head is going to go where the body is directed.
yes.
Not the opposite, so to speak. So I think a lot of times people look and say, hey, I want to be like Eugene, I want to be in a directory, I have a directory, and then they never talk to Eugene to find out about a directory. They
Exactly.
never they never actually see what directories do or
Yeah.
any of those things. So now they can't duplicate the actual results you have done already, or even be involved in a directory of your caliber.
So if you call me at 773-407-1470, if you call me at 773-407-1470, if you go to our website, blackpagesinternational.com, if you go to our website, blackpagesinternational.com, if you go to our Facebook page, Black Pages International Chicago, if you form a relationship with me, you won't have to fall into some of those pitfalls that you may fall into. There are hundreds of businesses in our directory that are waiting for you to form a relationship with them. All you need to have is the end result in mind and the courage
Mm.
to make the call.
I like that. The courage to make the call. Think a lot of people are afraid to even make the call. You think sometimes?
For years, I was afraid of having it exactly my way.
Hmm.
I would talk myself out of it.
What do you mean?
I thought I didn't deserve it. I thought there were things in my past that prevented me from being um, able to enjoy the life of my dreams. So that's where I mentioned self talk. So I had to continually have those self talks until I reached a resolve that I deserve this, that whatever happened in the past, the only way to change it was what you're doing right now.
So, do the opposite of what I did yesterday, and I have a
Exactly.
different result probably tomorrow. Huh?
Exactly.
I like that. I like that. So I like the way you just said the self talk because obviously this is the Great Entrepreneur Show, and obviously we speak to a lot of entrepreneurs, and then a lot of people look at the show, and it's to encourage them, hey, to get involved with entrepreneurship, or if you're involved with entrepreneurship, ways to get better, tips and things in that aspect. So I like the way you say self talk. What's some examples that you can give someone watching, listening, of self-talk to help them out?
Everyone who's listening engages in self-talk.
How do you mean?
You're always talking to yourself. You're always doing it.
I believe you.
And so, what you need to become aware of is that you're doing it and pay close attention to what you're telling you about you.
Right.
You may be putting yourself down or talking yourself out of a great business or a great opportunity or a great idea. So, if you're doing that, then you need to stop it if you can, but you have to pay attention to the self-talk that you engaged in. Words are very, very powerful.
Yeah, they are very powerful.
So all of the great entrepreneurs, in my view, they understand the power of self-talk.
Mhm.
Self-talk is huge.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I believe exactly what you say. What you say to yourself would do you more good or more damage compared to
Sure.
what somebody else will say to
Sure.
you about you.
Sure.
Because all of us got some raggedy stuff in yesterday.
Sure.
Nobody's perfect. None of us are, right? So we all have some stuff like, man, when I was 25, it could have been 25 days ago, right? I mean, it's not like it had to be far from now or far ago. But I think sometimes a lot of us we judge ourselves so harshly on our yesterday.
Yeah.
And then after living a few years, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, right? Now you say, man, I made mistakes in every decade, right? And some of those mistakes might have been pretty big, right? And some of those mistakes could have been pretty big learning lessons, but we didn't talk ourselves out. See, I messed up when I was 32, but now you're 52, right? It's 20 years ago. A lot can happen in a 10-year span, a 20-year span. I really think the average person in a 5-year span, they could have a life that look totally different.
Sure.
In a 5-year span. 5 years is really
Sure. That's long.
People got car payments that last longer than 5 years.
Sure.
So they can change their life in a 5-year period. So I like how you said the self-talk and how we always talking to ourselves. You can do it. Oh, you can't do that. Oh, why try that? You shouldn't try it. Or and these are things the conversations we have. So when someone say, oh, you shouldn't try that, it's almost like validating what that person's been saying to themselves all day, all week.
It is, because actually you are a magnet, and then what you are thinking about, self-talk that you engaged in, you attract that to yourself. And so that's difficult. It was difficult for me to believe. But as I started to track my performance, I started to really understand it, that I am a creator, and I create with my imagination, and I create with my thoughts, and I create with my self-talk. So I'm very, very mindful of what I'm saying to myself. And I'm also very mindful of those who I surround myself with. And I'm listening to their self-talk. And I'm listening to what they say to me about themselves as we engage in conversation. And getting back to a pitfalls in every adversity, there's a seed for equal or greater benefit.
Yeah.
You just need to have the patience and to look. So I fell in this deep hole. Well, the end result may be now I know how to climb out of holes.
That's right. I know what they look like, right? I tell people, when you get good at climbing out of holes, you get even better at climbing up mountains.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the same strategy. It's still climbing.
Yeah.
One's just way down there pretty dark, and then the other one's got a lot of light. But you got to get good at climbing out of holes. Yeah. So I like how you say that I think a lot of times too, Jen, you can share me your opinion on it, is that because failure is such a dirty word to people, right? Years ago when I was younger, failure was like, ooh, that's like profanity, right? You say failure, man, you gonna fail. Like, oh, I want to try it, I may fail. Then I realized, but failure was nothing but success turned inside out.
Exactly. And
I had a whole different approach after that.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, failure is just a learning experience. It'll teach me something. Let me learn from Eugene's failures, and then I'll let that teach me something too. Hey, how did you fall in that hole? Was it late at night, early in the morning? Was it cold out? And I use that as a recipe.
Yes.
Right. And said, because I looked at it like this, I'm a baseball fan, and the game I played when I was younger. And if you talk to 9 baseball players, they're all going to say 3 strikes, you out, 3 outs, every inning, hit the ball, run the base, first base, team that scored the most runs win. But the center field is going to say something a little bit different than the first baseman. That they're going to talk based on their position. Right? The first baseman is going to say something different than the pitcher. And the pitcher is going to say something different than the shortstop. They all going to talk about the team that scored the most runs win. So I realized when I was a young guy, younger than I am today, right? That all I need to do is find people with a recipe. I don't have to reinvent much. Just, hey, how did you make it across the street? How did you make it across the street? Now, if everybody tell me they go to the light and cross, I think I'm going to try that method. I'm going to go to the light and cross. And I think that a lot of times people don't search out of Eugene. So, Eugene, how did you make it? How did you get past that? How did this happen? Because I may not want to have a Black Pages directory, but I might want to have some type of other directory or some type of entrepreneurship thing I want to do. And you can give me some skills and tools to help me do that.
Well, for those who are listening, our core product, we look for individuals who have stories to tell. And each of you has a story. We look for you to allow you a platform to tell your story, to shout it from the rooftops. And what I have discovered, that there are millions of individuals who are out here who are doing phenomenal things, and they may not have a platform to tell their story. So we provide you with a platform with our print directory, our online directory. We do videos, we do social media, and we do events. So we're looking for you. And if we're looking for you and you're looking for us, then you need to call me at 773-407-1470. 773-407-1470 to help you tell your story and to promote your story. We are looking for you because we know that you are phenomenal.
I like that. Yeah, that's one thing I like about your directory, right? Because in your directories, you may have about 10, 15 people in the front of the directory, and their stories are told.
Yes.
And one thing I like about getting your directories, not only are there, several different businesses in the directory, that I can read someone's story and find out like, wow, they did this and they did that. And wow, that happened to them. Man, that's pretty interesting, because sometimes you can't get that with just the name of the company and the phone number.
No.
But you put that in the directory and persons can find out, oh, wow, they started that with this. That's where I am right now today. And they can see people, real life people that actually have probably doing what they want to do or have done what they are, doing what they already done already. So I like how you have the directory set up because it's very enlightening. I try to make sure I call these people all the time when I see them in the directory and just say, hey, keep up the good work, right? You're doing good. Hey, your story was a good story, because sometimes, and you may be able to attest to this too, sometimes we're walking down this street or this journey and we're doing okay, right? We don't know we're doing okay because we haven't hit our $1 million like yesterday, right? So we know, but we think we're doing pretty good, or we don't know. And sometimes people don't come around and say, hey, Eugene, you're doing it, man. You're doing a good job. I don't want anything from you. Just want to let you know you're doing all right. But sometimes you don't know if, am I going the right direction? Am I, you never know if people are ready to quit. This is one reason why I call people, because you don't know where they are in life, right? And you could be the person to say, try one more day.
Now, you just brought up a fantastic point. And we're talking about self-talk again. And we're talking about dominating healthy, wealthy communities. In dominating healthy and wealthy communities, the self-talk is a talk of encouragement. So you can listen to radio stations, you can listen to TV, you can read print media, and what you read will give you a clue as to the state of that community. So just by doing what you do, Dr. Gann, continue to do that. Just speaking to people, just encouraging them. Because since we're all connected, if you simply do that, if you can change the habit of not assassinating another person's culture or efforts that you barely know, if you could change that around by simply doing that, if you could change the habit of, first of all, listening to that person's story and encouraging them, Just give them a little bit of encouragement. And what you will find is that that encouragement will come back to you.
That's true. You're right about that. And then the awesome part is, like, I love what I do, and I've known you for a while, and I know you love what you do.
Oh, absolutely.
Super producer over there, he love what he does
Yes,
too,
he
right?
does.
So when you see people that love what they do, and it gets tough, right? You just because you love what you do, don't mean you don't have challenges, right? Doesn't mean that, hey, I got a challenge today.
Mm.
So when I see people that love what they do, because I know what that looks like, because I love what I do, I always want to say, hey, stay encouraged.
Mm.
You're doing all right. Keep going. Make it happen, right?
Mm.
And one reason why I like you, wanted to interview you on the show, because you interview everybody. You went through the directory, you get them exposure and put some light on them. And I said, I want to put some light on you, right? Because a lot of people don't know your story, right? You helping people get their stories out, but they don't know your story. So that's one reason why I wanted to interview you, because I know you've been doing this for a while.
Mm.
You done helped a lot of people for a long time that probably wouldn't had any other way to get noticed if they didn't get into your directory. And because of your directory, some people got noticed.
Sure.
So you have done a lot of good work. People may not always come back around and say, hey man,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I stayed in business another year,
Yeah.
when I was gonna quit, but
Yeah.
I invested in that ad or whatever, right? Because of you, I thought maybe I can make it another year.
Yeah.
And now it's been 10 years, they still in business.
Yeah.
So you planted a lot of good seeds.
Well, thank you. And now I'm after the other Winfrey.
Yeah, the other Winfrey. Yeah, we know about him, super producer.
To tell the story, because this is a phenomenal baby that he has given birth to, that's growing.
Yeah.
And so there are 4 stages of business. First, you are a startup.
Okay.
And then as a startup, your goal is to sustain the business. So if you can sustain it a little while, and then you start to see it scaling up, the other Winfrey, then you know that you're headed in the right direction. So we talked about started the end result, the succession plan. What do you want to do with the business? And so we talked about that million African Americans who have businesses. So right now, my business is scaling up. So I spend a lot of time looking for individuals that I can duplicate myself with. So now I'm teaching more. I'm teaching and remaining a student, but the end result is duplicate Black pages all over. And so you shared with me that there are a million African Americans in business. So I would say to you, sole proprietorships, sole proprietors, what Governor Rauner did, now you can become an LLC for half the price. It used to be $500. Now it's $250. The annual filing fee used to be, I think it was $300. Now it's $75. So I would encourage you to go into business. I would encourage you to set a modest goal if you are a sole proprietor and you are one employee. so if you don't show up, so a prudent business person would have at least one other employee, maybe one other. So that's the whole thing in staying in business is starting with the end result in mind and having a system to duplicate yourself. And so that's where we have shifted.
Okay.
So I am delighted to encourage those who are listening to listen to Dr. Gant's 2 programs. He has a second one coming on. To beat a door to IntellectualRadio.com, and to tell your story and to raise your level of expectation. What do you expect for your life?
I like that. Another word, the word expectation, obviously the word is expect, and EX means out. Expecting that word means to see. So when you get an expectation, you see it out. And I like how you said, raise your expectation. You seeing out from where you are, beyond from where you are. And that's something I think is advantageous. And I think business teaches you that. I think sometimes it's nothing against having jobs, because I had those before. It's that I think sometimes you get complacent. I get paid every 1st and 15th. I've been there 2 years now, 5 years now. And you don't get, in business, you kind of, my thing is either think big or go home,
Yes.
right? Because you can't say, well, I'm just trying to keep it the same. In business, it's either get another client
Mm.
or you're shrinking.
Mm.
If you're not expanding, you're shrinking. So it teaches you to see out, see beyond where you are. Like, hey, last year I had 100 clients. This year I'm seeking I get 101. I mean, it may seem like it's only one or five more, but you're getting bigger. You know, if you could you imagine if you gain 5 pounds extra every year? You know, you be in some trouble, right? After 20, 30 years.
There's hefty Eugene.
You're like, man, what's up, right? Because, but that's the same thing in business. It's a good thing if you gain 5 pounds every year in business. Yeah, you know, you started off at 100 pounds, 10, 20 years later, now you 450 pounds. That's a good thing because now you have shown that you have duplicated yourself.
Sure.
Somebody else is doing things that you were once doing for the company.
Sure.
And you can have a salary. And I think that's what drives me, Eugene, when it comes to business, is that I can create something and probably, if I do it well enough, I can hire people. I can provide an income for some people. And they can kind of build their life and get kids to school and put food on their table. I may not be able to pay them $99,000 a year, but how about if I can get 20,000 in their pocket in a year? I mean, it's not a fortune, but it may change some things in their household, right? It may add some, maybe it'll pay for some insurance or something. So that's one reason why I like being an entrepreneur. You know, so I like what you're doing with saying that raise the expectations. And how do I start that, Virginia? Hey, you know, I've been on this job 15 years. Man, I'm really good at baking cookies. Man, everybody love my cookies, man. I mean, I bake these cookies, man. They love them. And they say you should go into business, but I don't know what to do. I heard you say the LLC, and what do you think I should start?
Well, I said before, I gave the example of when I was in 5th grade. You need to start with your imagination. You need to set aside some time to imagine, and then get the habit of writing that out.
I like that.
You need to be able to, when you imagine this, to write it out, because that's a gift from the divine. And if you don't write it out, then it's lost by something else that's coming in. So as a rule, as a writer, I'll get these impressions late at night or early in the morning. And so now I'm in the habit of just jotting it down. And if I don't jot it down, it's not going to be exactly that a moment or two later. But start with your imagination, because remember when you were little, you couldn't wait to play and to get outside. And your entire world was built around what you imagined. So as you put on that adult role or that parent mode, you forget about the child in you. And the child is key, that you keep that alive, and you keep that alive by setting aside some time to imagine. And it may appear difficult at moments, but because that you've been imagining nightmares, and you're in the habit of imagining nightmares.
Right.
So the first challenge is to break through that. And so, but never give that up, because everything, again, this microphone that I'm talking in, someone imagined this.
That's true.
IntellectualRadio.com, maybe 15 years ago, there was no IntellectualRadio.com.
That's right.
So the idea came to Earl one night or one morning, and he acted on it. So that's the other part. You got to act on it. You know? So there is a formula. And again, we talked about starting at the end. So if you'll start at the end and decide, what is it that I really want? I can't sleep until I get it. I can't rest. I got to have it.
Right.
And then you take the action to take the first step in that direction. And now what happens? You went from an object at rest to an object in motion. So first of all, you were sitting. No, first of all, you were sleeping. Then you got up and you sat up.
Right.
Then you got on your feet, and then you're walking. Next thing you know, you running. And so that's the process.
That's the process. I like that. Yeah. I like that. And I concur with you on that. I think I think the more ideas you get, because I think sometimes people may confuse, have the end in mind with trying to figure out everything how it's going to happen.
No, you need to worry about that.
Right, you don't have to worry about trying to figure it out. Just start walking, and you'll get to certain places, right? So I run and you'll see, oh, there's that. It's almost like taking a trip, driving.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you need gas, right, for your car if you're driving. But you may not know all the gas stations are. But as you drive, boom, there's a gas station, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can go fill up there, and there's a restaurant. But if you try to say, well, I can't leave yet until I know where every restaurant, every gas station, you would never move. And I think that's what hurts a lot of people. They're trying to figure the whole thing out instead of, okay, the end in mind is I want my cookies in all the grocery stores.
So we've got all of these business owners that are in our print and online directory.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we see you running toward your goal, you may need shoes, you may need a suit, you may need a watch, you may need a haircut, you may need insurance, you may need a car. We'll help you. But we got to see you in motion. No, seriously.
That's serious, right?
Seriously, we have to see you in motion.
Yeah.
So we help those, and I want you to hear this, who help themselves.
There you go. I like that.
We help those who help themselves. So you got to make the effort. You can't lay there in bed and you had this fantastic dream and you were told to get up and go, but you didn't do it. So suddenly early in the morning we saw another player in the game, another entrepreneur. And we said, where did he or she come from? So you knew, and then you tell us your story, and you introduce yourselves to us, and you're making an effort, and then we will be glad to help you because we know how difficult some of those moments are. So that's what Black Pages International is all about. We're waiting for you to take that first step. We're waiting for you to call us up so that we can make you a part of this great effort to do what? We want to rebuild our communities. We want to bring health, peace, and wealth to the communities. That's who we look for, those who are doing that and have told us a little bit about their story. So that's you.
Then say your call.
Yeah.
What say, you call you?
Say that's me. Are you listening? say that's me.
That's me.
So if that's you, call us at 773-407-1470, 773-407-1470.
Okay, good. And if you want to call in and ask them some questions to Lugene, 708-223-8953. That's IntellectualRadio.com. Again, 708-223-8953. And you can ask some questions. I'm going to ask you a question about the directory too, because I think your directory, and we're just going to talk about the directory in this aspect. I think if you're in business, it's a good idea to have your phone number somewhere else other than in your pocket on your business card.
Yeah, because how can people get in touch with you? how will they know that you're in business? They have to be able to get in contact with you.
So I ask people all the time, like, hey, where are you promoting anywhere? No, I got business cards. Well, they're in your pocket, right? I mean, like, people are not going to chase you down. Like, you look like you're on a dry cleaners. You look like you're a car salesman, right? So I think that people should get in contact with you for no other reason than to make sure they put their information, get your information with. They may not have their story right now today, which is okay, but they still can put their information in a directory with you.
Yes.
And maybe in another issue, because you run these issues all the time.
We do.
So it's not like you run one issue every 5 years. No. You run issues all the time. I want to say quarterly?
4 times a year.
4 times a year. So they can get their story involved. They got 4 shots. In 12 months to get their story in there, and I remember when you had my story in there, and I was honored that you had my story in there, and even years after that was in there, people would say, hey, you know what? I know I haven't talked to you in years, but I've seen you in this this magazine directory, and so it added credibility to me, and this is one reason why I think people should connect with you. Because it adds credibility to them and their business, especially if there's a story about them. Because your family and friends may still see you as Uncle so-and-so, right? Right? Man, you ain't no good. Remember what happened 20 years ago, right? Yeah. Right? They look at you as that. But then when someone else has written a story about you, now it adds to your credibility. Now people that know you even look at you differently. Like, I thought you were okay, but you must really be okay. Because they got a whole page written about you, a half page. So I think people should get in contact with you for that. Another thing I like about your directory is that some directories are so crowded because it has thousands of people under your you a plumber, is 1,000 plumbers, right? So how am I going to find a plumber, right? With just 1,000 of them, how do I pick? With your directory, it's enough plumbers for me to call and evaluate based on calling, because I don't want to call 1,000 plumbers.
Yeah.
That's just too many, right? But if there's 20 or 30, it's not that intimidating.
Yeah.
You know, if it's 20 or 30 financial people or 50 realtors, that's not that intimidating. Now I can see who's closer to me.
Yeah.
I can see different things, and I don't mind calling 3, 4, 5 of them and get a feel for who I want to work with. So that's another thing that I like about your directory as well.
Well, Dr. Gann, thank you.
You know, I watch the directories every time I see you and get with you. I always get one and say, oh, okay, well, look at it. I mean, I like the way they laid out. Very, very professional, very colorful. I mean, very clear and crisp. You won't strain reading them. Like, what is that? What is that? I mean, so everything is really good. And I like your layout and how you put it together. And I just like the way you promote people in a directory. So I do like that. I mean, it helps me out. I like calling some of the people in the profile and reading the profiles and seeing some of the good things about,
Sure.
people that's in there.
Sure.
So what gave you the idea though? Because a lot of directories don't have profiles of people. They just have the name, company, phone number, address. What was it that made yours so unique by you putting the profile in? What made you come up
Well,
with that?
I borrowed this concept from another competitor. I won't tell you who they are.
We don't want to know who they are.
but sometimes I'll tell those of you who are listening, it's advantageous to be first, but sometimes it's advantageous to be second or third.
Mhm.
So you need to always be looking and listening and watching and learning. So this other publication, I noticed what they were doing, and so we added it to what we offer now. And as it evolved, we realized that is our core product, because your story is truly unique. Please don't sit on your story. Please don't go to the grave and no one know that you even live, because you didn't tell your story. You didn't get on the highest hill and shout it. And what that says about you is that you are confident and comfortable with what God gave you.
Mhm.
And God gave each one of us something unique. Otherwise, we wouldn't need each other. There's something that Dr. Anthony Gant can do that I could never do. There's something that the other Winfrey does that I could never do.
Right.
So that's why we need each other.
Right.
And so that's what I'm a firm advocate of, is that you tell your story, no matter how seemingly small it is, because there's going to come a time when a problem will arise, and you'll be the only one who have the answer.
That's true.
And so that's why I'm always seeking out other people.
I like that. When I share things with people about promoting their business, I said the more that people can know or hear about you and your business, the more attractive they'll become to you, right? And you want to place yourself in positions where you become more attractive, right? And if someone wrote a profile about you, you just become more attractive to the people that have that particular publication.
Sure.
So you want to get that, because people now start associating. I think sometimes, Eugene, people look at us in business as that we're only business. This is why I asked you, what did you do before, right? Because sometimes they think, oh, well, that's the electrician, or that's the technology guy. That's all they know. Like, we never done anything else besides where you see us today. And I think when you see that people have walked a certain path, things happen in their life to make them say, you know what, that's my story. I'm going this way, because something may have happened in my life that I didn't. Not saying it's good or bad. It's just something happened that made me say, that's the idea. I found out that people don't tell their stories. You know what I'm gonna do? In this directory, I'm gonna put that in.
Sure.
So I like that. I like that about, again, what you're doing. So let me ask you this question, because you've been an entrepreneur for a while.
Yes.
You have dealt with a lot of entrepreneurs for a long time.
Yes.
So what do you think some of the challenges that entrepreneurs face? And we're not going to say the obvious things like economy and all those things. That's it. It could be a good economy and a person still struggling in business, right? So what do you think some of the challenges a person faces, or maybe some things that you have faced that you overcome in business?
Well, this is in alignment with Scripture, but it's core for my business and the businesses that I see succeed. They believe in themselves.
Mm.
They do. You. It's real difficult to deal with customer after customer, client after client, and not believe in yourself. And so, Scripture says, "It's done unto you as you believe." So, I found that those successful business owners have found a way to take those scripture or that saying and to involve it in their day-to-day operations. And so they are, as my mentor would say to me, he said, Eugene, stop being a reactionary, be proactive.
Mm.
So successful business owners are proactive. They are reading, leaders are readers.
That's right.
They're out reading stuff, they're learning new stuff. They go to out and uh, network, form relationships. You see them out and about, or they have someone representing the company that's out and about to bring them new information. So if you are going to dominate the landscape, if you're going to either um, go big or go home, um, some of this you need to incorporate in your day-to-day operations.
Mm.
And so I found that those successful businesses, we all do the same thing. We're all out meeting new people. We know that everything we learned in kindergarten. That is, thank you very much.
Right.
How are you
You
today?
right.
Those are things that we do, and we understand that people, our database, that drives our business. So we're always out meeting new people, and I would encourage those who are listening. It's really a simple formula. It's really a simple formula. It's not rocket science.
Right.
Don't be afraid of people. Don't be afraid of failing, because the times that I've failed down, I learned the most.
Yeah.
So the difficulty was getting back up, just showing up. There were some times when I fell down, I got dirty and nasty, and I
Cut
didn't
up
want
and everything.
cut up. I didn't want to get back up.
Right.
All I needed to do was to show up. The bully had kicked my butt.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I got up, he couldn't believe it. Or
Right.
she couldn't believe it.
Right.
And so they went screaming and running in the opposite direction. I hadn't expected that.
Right. I'm with you there. I like to say that in life, like when you're in a boxing match, right? And you get knocked down, you got a referee to count to 10. And if you don't get up before 10, it's over.
Mm.
But in life, the referee just keep counting until you get up, right? Sometimes, I tell people in life, I heard the referee talking about 3 million. He just kept counting. I said, okay, that's time for me to get up. It wasn't a rush for me to get up, right? It's that, okay, I got knocked down, lost some things. This happened, lost relationships. You might have lost a lot of things, and you're devastated.
Yeah.
You're trying to figure out
Yeah.
what has happened, right? Like a tornado that came through your life. Wait. Wasn't a tree over there across? I mean, wait a minute. What happened to my house? Was my house up here? And you're trying to collect yourself. But if you don't get back up, then you can't start rebuilding. And you always meet people. I just think that's how it has been in my life. Somebody has already went through that tornado experience. But if you don't get up, you won't meet them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they're not there to collect the dead. They're there to collect the people that's gonna get up, right? Yeah. So they're looking for people like, hey, I see you limping. Yeah. I see you got kind of bloody here. Here. Put this on that head of yours because it's bleeding. Yeah. But you're gonna be okay. Yeah. And I like that.
So that's who we're looking for. And again, if that's you, you need to get to know us. We're looking for you. We really want to tell your story. We know that you have a phenomenal story. Mm-hmm. And that's why I drove all the way out here to Chester to IntellectualRadio.com. I came all the way from University Park.
Woo! You drove away. You drove another state. No,
I'm stretching it just a bit, but I'm saying that to let my partner know that how far I'm willing to come. Mm-hmm. Now I'm letting him know that when last year I may have been a little unwilling to make this stretch, but now I'm willing, Mr. Winfrey. I'm willing to reform this relationship because now I see that you're on the threshold of conquering the world. You got a brand new digs here. You know, expansion is going on.
That's
He's
right.
scaled up. He's brought some new people in.
You're right.
So I want to be a part of that.
And I like how you said it's because a real entrepreneur, I tell people that's different than somebody that went to business school and then they got a degree and then they became a manager, right? Nothing against that. And then eventually they became a CEO of that company they manage. See, a real entrepreneur takes a business at its embryo state. It's just a little old idea. And then you see it 5 years later, 8 years later. You say, well, it's still a little idea. It's just like one room. Come back 5, 6, 7 years later. Well, it's still a little idea. It's only two rooms, right? Come back 5, 6 years later. Hey, where did that happen? And I call that overnight success. Take about 15 years, right? That's overnight success. It don't happen over a weekend.
So again, I wanted to go back to what I said earlier. To start with the end result in mind.
Right.
And that's the fantasy, that's the imagination. You really need to master that, to start with the end result in mind, to envision it, to visit that vision daily. Believe me, you were visiting those visions every day. So was Earl, so was I. That was part of the process.
Right.
You know, it's interesting that you mentioned baseball. And now what's interesting about baseball is that the top hitters have 300 averages.
And that can get you in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, now that's the 300 average.
300.
Now, you know, that's only 30%.
30%.
Only 30% of the time they hit the ball and got on base. And they're in the Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame.
So that should tell you something.
Yeah, it should. That's why I like that analogy, because you can fail 7 out of 10 times. Do that for about 15 years, about 125 games a year. About 15 years, you pretty much a shoe-in to get into the Hall of Fame, the best that played the game. And you fail 7 out of 10 times all summer. Not like one day you failed. I mean, the whole summer you failed 7 out of 10 times.
So all they did, they after they struck out, next time up, they came right back into the batter's box and got right back up and expected to hit a home run. Look at Reggie Jackson. Reggie was Mr. October. How many times did Reggie strike out?
A whole bunch.
And to this day, many fans hate Reggie because Reggie was so cocky.
Yeah.
But come October, you don't want to see Reggie at the plate.
Like, oh no. Right. That's true, because he was a good hitter. He came to play, right? But but again, he failed more than, and I think that's happened in business, right? You talk to 10 people, hey, you want to use my product? You want to get in my directory? And you got to kind of expect like 7 of them, no, I want to get in that directory. It's not big enough, small enough, whatever, right? Whatever reason they have.
No, hell no.
I don't want nothing to do with it, right? Right? But then you have some people say, hey, I need to get in that. And, you know, because I talk to a lot of people. You know, I talk to a lot of people all over the country, right? Most people, I mean, not even like even comparison, not like half and half, right? Majority of the people tell me no. Hey, you want to write a book? You want to buy a book? You want to sell a book? You want to do this with a book? Most of the people, I say, hey, you want to do an interview? Most people tell me no.
The first time.
The first time.
And the second time.
That's right, right? Now, if I said, man, I had one person, they told me no. Man, I can't be on the radio anymore because they told me, no, I'm going to show up again and call somebody, you want to be on the radio? And if no one shows up, I'll be here and do it myself, right? I mean, because I know that I have content, right? Because like you said, it's the end in mind. You know, I was joking on one of the other shows that it was years ago. I told people when I wrote like 2 books, it's going to come a day I'm going to have a library and all the books going to have my name on. And, you know, that was real cute to some people. Well, he's just so positive, you know, something like that. Yeah, that's so nice, so optimistic. And, you know, I got 20 now. But I said the same thing in real estate. I said, don't come a day, I'm going to have more listeners than anybody in this office. Oh, that's so cute. You're just so optimistic. You see what I'm saying? But I had seen it. and I started walking that way, right? Now I'm not a person that like to write books and everything like that, Eugene, but I had a vision. And even though where I am today, it's 20 more coming out in the next few years. I couldn't tell you all the titles, like it's gonna be this, but I just know it's gonna be 40 or 50 of them, if I've been on the planet that long. So I like how you say that telling your story is putting something in your life besides a dash.
Yeah.
I mean, when you started, then we got this dash there, and we know when you ended. Put something, your story can stay here longer than you.
Yeah. And so that's why we started doing videos. And so now we offer videos, and we offer it in a big way because we encourage you to tell your story and have it videotaped so that you've transitioned to spirit. But there Eugene is. He's still talking stuff. He's saying, look, y'all know I ain't here in physical, but this is what I want to happen. This is what I did. Da, 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 da.
Right.
And so I got that from my mother-in-law. She passed a few years ago. And so what happened was we were just playing around, and we took her down to the family room, and we put the cameras up, and we had her to tell her story. And so a few years later, she transitioned. And I can tell you, that was the most fun funeral that we went to because we went right back to that video. And then after she told all the information, she said, that's enough today that they need to know about me. And we played that video, and those who were there, they cracked up.
Right.
Because there she was talking stuff. She was still the same old woman that we had loved. So now with the technology, there is no reason why you cannot live forever.
That's right. You can transcend time. I tell people, if you don't write your story, don't get mad if somebody else write it and mess it up.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So if you tell your story and write your story, I joke with my children all the time. I said one reason why I write so many books, right? Because whenever I don't have grandchildren now, but I said I don't want y'all messing up what I taught y'all to grandkids, so I'm gonna put it in books so y'all won't mess up my stuff.
Exactly.
And the grandkids get all confused. Wait, you said this? No, just read the book because your mom and daddy might mess it up. Because I may be gone, right? Exactly. Haven't said it in a while. So I like how you say tell your story, because I think when you tell your story, you realize you are important too.
Yeah.
You're important. I mean, you're not here. I'm not here. The super producer. We're not here on accident.
No, we're not.
Not here on accident. If super producer don't have the idea of starting the intellectual radio, right? You wouldn't have been on intellectual radio because he wouldn't have started the idea, right? Yeah. So he had to have the idea. Yeah. I came around later and seen the idea bigger. Yeah. So that's when it was time for me, because when the student is ready, the teachers will appear, right? Yeah, exactly. I wasn't ready 5 years ago, apparently. But apparently I got ready, and then the student appeared, the teacher appeared, like, oh, okay, there it is. Okay, it's time for me. Yeah. So I think that's what you say about your story, that if all of us have to act on the ideas that we have, because we don't know who we're there for 2 years from now, 5 years from now. We don't even know who we can inspire. I mean, I know some people that tell me every day, man, watch all your shows. They would never be on here probably because they're not that interested. They never do what I do or what you do. But then someone said, I watch your shows, and now I'm going to go ahead and go back to school. Now, I don't say anything about going back to school on here. Like, hey, go back to school, right? But they inspired by something. So, I said, obey, that's commercial, said, obey your thirst. I said, obey the idea. You get the idea, obey it. Don't worry about it. It's not big yet. I'm only have one microphone. Okay, well, I need 5 microphones. We'll start with 1. Sure. And everybody share it for now, right? So let's close it out. Just give me 10 seconds, Lujan. Give your information real quick, and we're going to wrap it up.
Well, again, contact Black Pages International. Our website is blackpagesinternational.com. Our Facebook page is Black Pages International Chicago. You can contact me by phone, 773-407-1470. Tell your story. Be great. Start big. Start at the end.
All right. And thank you all for taking a look again to the Great Entrepreneur Show. And we'll see you next time.